Hey guys, just wanted to jump on here really quick. I've had a lot of people reach out to me in terms of how they can support what I'm doing. I am doing this full time now, and if you'd like to contribute, if you like and value the work that I'm doing and like to contribute, on every single episode, I have a title "Support My Work." Underneath it, there's a Venmo, Locals, Cash App, or if you prefer not to use one of those methods, you can mail a check or money order to PO Box 25383, Scottsdale, Arizona 85255 9998. So, again, thank you for all the support. Appreciate it and look forward to more conversations ahead. Yeah, so I got 7 shows scheduled for this week, and I was saying this earlier. I gotta use my words differently, so I'm not saying the same things over and over again. I said this year, and even after the election, people thought things were just going to revert back to normal. I have people that I've known, that have done well financially for themselves, and they really think that. They think like it's all, Trump is in, everything's good, we go back to pre-COVID. And to me, man, I'm just like, foot to the gas and putting conversations out because as you see, things aren't slowing down. If anything, they're accelerating again. I mean, what's going on with Russia, Ukraine, Middle East, Trump's picks? There's a lot to talk about right now.
Oh man, I mean, there is no doubt. I mean, where do you even start? I mean, it's a complete mess out there. But like I always tell you, we've done a couple of shows before, and I always say, like, me and you can control, and everybody listening to this show, we can control what we can control. And what I mean by that is we we can't go out there in inside these I call them suits. We can't go inside their brains and be them and press the nuclear warhead or not press it or print $36 trillion or not print. We don't have any control of that. And I really don't think the general elections, I know a lot of people will hate me and you for this, it really make much difference at all. I believe the guy right now that's in office is a complete, he's not there. He's there, but he's not there. And somebody else is for sure running the show. Who is running the show? I don't know. Is it Soros? Is it not Soros? All of that can be conspiracy theories, but somebody is running the show, and it's not Biden. And I think everybody knows that by now. Where is Harris? What is she doing since the whatever the how do you call them conversations? Interviews they had with her, debates, that's the word I was looking for, with Trump. She's just been missing, right? She's missing in action for a while. And then you got Trump, like you said, he's been elected now, everything is good, everything is back to normal. You know what? I'm just living my life the way I lived it before and the way I want to live. It's fine. It's a complete mess, and I just want to control my own food supply, my water supply, and I got to be able to know how to protect it. That would be the in a nutshell, instead of waiting on them to do it for me.
Well, what's crazy, man, is like who is running the country right now? You really have no idea. I mean, is it Jake Sullivan? Is it Anthony Blinken? Who has the football? Who's got the nuclear codes? Who is making these decisions? And on top of it, Matt Smith I had on earlier, and which that conversation will come out as soon as we're done. You and I are done talking, and he so it'll be this. So you and I will come out tomorrow, so it'll be previous day. But 75 million people before the election were anti-government, right? Didn't trust the government. Now all those Trump supporters are like, "Yay, government! Yay, I love the picks! Yay, the Avengers! Like they're coming to save the day."
What was the last couple of picks? What was the lady's name? I can't even
Well,
pronounce her last name. It was General.
before that though,
Like, what was that?
well, hold on. Before that, even before that, we get to that point, right? That's a little bit deeper down the lane. Look at the initial picks: Gates, Kennedy, Tulsi. Those are the three right off the top of my head. And Elon. They're forming an external agency.
Vivek.
And
The Indian
Vivek.
guy.
And Vivek. And
Yeah.
they've created DOGE, DOGE, Department of Government efficiency. So here is people that are saying less government, and they've just created another agency or institution. And who's watching this? So you got that. You got Gates, who I actually thought he would have been good, but he never even made it to the confirmation process. Kennedy, I cannot see how Rhino senators are going to vote for him to confirm. I don't see it. And the other thing is, too, and I am not whining for whoever emails me that says I whine. One guy, creepy, said I sound like a whiny wife. And I'm like, dude, if I sound like your whiny wife, I think you got a lot bigger issues. I don't know what you're into, but I think that's weird.
I agree.
but if like, I just didn't want to get into like a huge battle on Twitter over that because somebody wrote that. But here's the thing, man. Like if you think someone's going to come in there and take on big pharma or take on the FBI, CIA, like Gates, said he was going to do, they'll kill you. You think big pharma is going to let you come in and just crumble their empire, their billion-dollar empire? It's never going to happen. I shouldn't say never. It's more than likely not going to happen.
But just look at it, and we touched up on this a few months back when we talked about these are the facts that nobody can deny, right? So Trump is the ultimate warp speed man. He's the one that pushed the warp speed. Yes, he talked about hydroxychloroquine. He talked about ivermectin. He talked about this and that. But I'm looking at it. Watch what they do, not what they say. At the end of the day, it was all about the vaxxed, get injected. This is what it is. And he ended up, I have a picture of him, actually. I screenshot it on my phone in his legendary, Beast limo with the mask when he got sick. And he was doing the thumbs up with the mask on in the limo. I'm like, come on, man. This is... So yeah, it is. It's one big show. It's a theater. We know that, and I don't want to be pointing things out that most of your listeners already know. And some people don't want to hear the facts that the COVID idiotic, sadistic national emergency actually happened under Trump in office. That's another fact. Now, we can say he was duped. He did not have the right people around him. That's usually consensus, right? That's what people say. And I get that. But now you're getting the Surgeon General that is all over X right now as we speak from 2021 and 2022. There is videos circulating of her, and I can't pronounce her name to save my life. She reminds me of that freak from... Gretchen, is that her name?
Gretchen
Whitmer. She reminds me of her. Yes, from Michigan, right? She from Michigan?
Yeah, she's a governor of Michigan.
Whitmer?
Gretchen Whitmer.
Yeah. She reminds me. Yeah, well, and this lady was that Trump just appointed was all about injections, and it was all about masks. So you get the idea.
She was about double masking.
Pictures with McDonald's, whatever he was told.
She was about. Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Double masking. It's even that's my favorite.
Dr. Her name is Dr. Jeanette Neshowit, and she was on video supporting double masking.
Yes. I mean, you might as well say if you stand up. Remember this one? I remember I was in San Antonio with my brother-in-law in 2020, when everybody apparently was dying from this deadly pandemic. And I was traveling everywhere. And I told you I don't fly anymore unless I have to go to Europe for whatever reason or somewhere else abroad. I just been driving. I don't want to fly anymore. I used to fly every 2 months. And since 2019, I just decided just to take it on the road myself. And I've been loving life. I can just stop anywhere I want. I can do whatever. So whatever. I was traveling. I went to when they said, you got to stay home and do all that. So I was going to football games. As soon as they started having, college football games, I started to watch in 2020, 2021. And I went to San Antonio, and I was sitting there, and the waitress, she was double masked. She shows up, and she told me I had to put the mask on if I stand up. Because we were sitting, having beer, eating whatever, dinner, lunch. I don't remember what it was. It was a football game on, and I got to go to the bathroom. I get up, and she's like, you got to you got to put the mask on. And I just looked at her. I said, you got to be kidding me, right? She says, no, 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 no. These are the guidelines, sir. And she used the word sir, basically like, I am the authority because I am the waitress or cocktail waitress, bartender, server, whatever her title is. And I just looked at my brother-in-law. I said, man, I can't be here, man. I mean, this is ridiculous. If I stand up, I'm going to spread COVID. If I sit down, it's safe. But again, I don't want to spend time on this, the nonsense we've dealt with. And the same person that was doing all that was talking about it right now is going to be Trump's already officially, I guess not officially, because she's got to be
confirmed,
approved by,
confirmed.
Yeah, she's got to be appointed. Confirmed. That's the word I'm looking for. Confirmed. And yeah, Surgeon General. And then you look at the McDonald's picture. I know it could be trolling or not with RFK in it and Elon and Donald on a private jet. And then the Fed Reserve appointee, that was just recent, about 3 days ago. Again, I can't think of the guy's name, but this guy is a currency printing machine. That's his new treasury pick. So we've got the new treasury pick that's basically Keynesian economics, print to infinity and beyond. We've got the Surgeon General that's basically COVID nut. It's a freak show. And then we've got pictures with McDonald's and RFK standing there. And then there was a report just recently that Trump and RFK could not get along about certain things because of the vax. Because this part I don't know if it's true or not, and I don't want to get into it too much. But the bottom line is things are just going right back to: are we really making America healthy again, or this is make America duped again? We might as well switch it to MADA instead of MAHA. That's the way I see it. Or make America confused again. Pick one of the two, MACA or MADA. That's where we're at. That's how I feel.
I didn't understand, and it'll be when I have him on Tuesday to ask about this again. Martin Armstrong, he had said that the computer showed this would be the last election, and I could tell you, I mean, we get painted as doom and gloom. I don't look at it like that, because I don't believe the sky's going to fall tomorrow. I don't believe in not getting out of bed every morning, working hard at whatever it is that we do. So I'm not on that mindset of like, oh, the world's going to end, I want to die kind of thing. But you have to be realistic of where all this is and where I think it's going. And in my opinion, where with technology always advancing, they're going to continue to strangle unless you withdraw from the system. That is the only way at this point, or try to, I mean, you can't completely withdraw, but to try to remove as much of yourself from it as you can. And that's a credit to what you and your wife are doing. Correct. With everything you're doing with, the business, family, where you live, because you can't defeat technology. I mean, I've heard this thing with Civil War. I never bought into the whole Civil War thing. I'd heard it. You heard it. Oh, it was going to happen after the election. And I'm like, okay, so what are people going to do? They're going to take their ARs and their AKs and they're going to go to downtown Phoenix or Bentonville, Arkansas. What's the capital in Arkansas? Bentonville?
That's a great question.
Sorry,
I would say Little Rock, but it's probably not Little Rock.
No, it's probably Little Rock, isn't it?
It's not Benson. Yeah, that's pretty much embarrassing. Yeah, hey, where I'm at, I'm nowhere close to any city.
Oh, it is Little Rock. You're good. You're good. It's Little Rock. It is good. I think of Arkansas, Bentonville, because Walmart. So that's why I thought of Bentonville. But
no, I knew it wasn't Bentonville, but I'm like, hey, maybe it's not Little Rock. Kind of like in Illinois, right? You would think it's Chicago, but it's not. It's Springfield. It's another city that's not even close as big as Chicago. So when you asked me, I was like, I guess it's not Little Rock.
Well, but it's like, what are you going to do? You're going to take your guns down to Little Rock and shoot at what? Like, exactly. Like, So this whole guns on the street, civil war, it's not as long as they have the technology on their side, because they don't have to fire a shot and they can starve you out, right? They can turn your credit card off, they can
Well,
debank you, they can dox you. So there's many, and then if they really want to, they can legally come after you and just financially destroy you. Even if you're in the right, they'll just take you out to the deep waters and break the bank.
well, that's still working right now because the masses are still there is still a lot of government subsidies that are happening, and people are not mass majority of people still have pretty good life in United States. They might be miserable with the life choices they made, the way they look, what they inject in their bodies, uh, what they're eating. I get all that with obesity issues at almost at 50% in the United States. But overall, people are, when you go out there, I mean, United States, it's still top dog. I mean, people keep talking about it. I lived up, I was born, everybody can tell I have an accent. I was born in Europe. I've been across the world. I haven't been to Australia. I mean, there is certain continents or countries I haven't been to, but for the most part, I've been everywhere. And United States is still up there as top dog, however we look at it. But I believe that as we continue seeing inflation in the areas that we need continue to spike, there is nothing that the suits can do when people realize that they've been robbed. A lot of people right now are not realizing it because they're getting that government subsidy. They're sitting down eating potato chips. They're watching Netflix, getting brainwashed, watching CNN. Yes, unfortunately, Fox News as well, mainstream media. And they're fine because, they're going to get their check. They're going to be in their little cubicle, whatever they live in, and they're fine. But once they realize that that's not enough because inflation is not keeping up with the amount that they're getting, we will have unrest. I still believe that. I don't want to be correct on this, but I've seen it. I lived it. And it wasn't in the United States. It was in a third world country. So it is going to happen because we will lose. If you look at past, and I'm sure you might have heard or you might have had Rick Rule on your show, and he's looking at just history and then putting dots together. When he said 70% of the purchasing power will be lost for people that are about to be retired in the next 5 to 10 years from now. So if you're getting $1,000 a month, you're actually going to be getting $300 a month. And I'm just using math, very simple. I understand a lot of people's Social Security might be at $5,000, it might be at $3,000, but you're looking at a 70% loss of your purchasing power. So once all this actually takes place, because as you said, what is Doge? How do you pronounce it? Doggy? D-O-G-E? What is it, a crypto? Is it another? I don't know. It's another government leg that Elon and Trump are creating. This means the expansion of the currency supply and more government jobs, right? Which is inflation. We're going to get that. So I mean, everywhere I go, man, I mean, I just went to Tractor Supply the other day, actually yesterday, and I had to buy like one of these long hoses that need to go from the house up to the pasture because we had an issue with one of the ponds. And it was like $90 for a hose. And I bought several other items and it was $250. I mean, I'm not wealthy, rich by any means, but I'm doing pretty good. I'm not struggling by any means. And I'm like, I don't know how people do it. Like, this is just a quick visit to buy a hose, and I'm spending $200-300. So inflation is going to get out of hand. This is my point to kind of sum it up what I'm trying to say. And this is where pitchforks and torches will happen again. It is inevitable. It's not imminent, but it's inevitable.
Well, and to your point though too, with the Treasury Secretary, is you know they're never going to stop printing. I got in a disagreement with a guy. Scott Bessent is the name of the new incoming Treasury Secretary, and he's a realtor here in Phoenix, and he was trying to. I was talking about Arizona, and I said, my time here is coming to an end. Whether I'm here one more year, maybe, probably, but I won't be here much beyond that, and for a number of reasons. My mother's back in the Midwest. I think Ohio might not be a bad place to be. It's flat. There's water, and a lot of farmland too. But and the guy responds. He's like, "Well, what do you think? You living in fear? We're not going to run out of water." I go, "Okay. I'm not saying that like I'm drinking the last glass of water right now, but one thing the last year has taught me: Hawaii, Western North Carolina." No area is immune to natural disasters. If we have a natural disaster in the Southwest, you know this. You lived in Vegas. Vegas and Phoenix are the same thing, but Phoenix is bigger. And you've spent time here. This city would be dead. 95% would be dead in 3 days. Dead. And if you think you're getting out of here on the I-17 when there's a panic, it's a 2-lane interstate that connects Phoenix to Flag. You ain't going anywhere.
Yep. That's why, again, me and you just touched up on this without recording, because we were supposed to have this interview just last week, and I had to bail out on you because my kids were sick, and I was like, any second somebody's going to come out here screaming like they got to go puke, and I have to get up. So I was like, let's just do it the next week. So I was telling you the story about that. I said, this is exactly the way I see it. Arkansas is one of those states. People need to look at states. In my opinion, this is not life or investing or trading or any kind of advice. I'm just saying from my perspective, living in big cities. I lived in Chicago in the skyrise. I literally lived on Michigan Avenue in Delaware. It does not get any more downtown than that. Then I lived on Las Vegas Strip. I played poker full time on Las Vegas Strip. Like, I am a city guy, as city as they get. I don't want to be anywhere close to the cities. I don't advise anyone to be close to the cities. This is not doom and gloom. It is just better for your well-being. It is not, if nothing happens, great. It's just the peacefulness of it is where I'm looking at it. It's just amazing. And I was going to do a video outside, and right now I'm looking at it, and the wind, I can see the trees not, nothing is happening. It was so windy. I was going to do the video outside and then pick up the phone and have you look around. I mean, it's just peaceful. And if somebody's working from home, they can look into places like this, and they can find land for like $2,000-$3,000 an acre instead of paying like I used to pay in places like Las Vegas or Chicago, or I lived in Florida too, right on the beach. I mean, you can't make it any more diversified than what I did, from the desert to the beach to the country, to downtown and all that. And it's just, there is a big difference of freedom. And Arkansas has certain laws that people need to know if you own farmland, that you can take out certain loans that make sense. These are not loans like you're getting your Chase credit card or whatever, Discover, and paying 25%. There are some states that are actually trying to help farmers, ranchers to get things going. So people need to look into this, and they need to start making some plans, because this is just what we're looking at is the epidemic of, I don't want to digress too much, but you've been there, you've seen it. I mean, you sent me a picture. I mean, first off, congrats. First, I just want to congratulate. I know it's 30 minutes into a show, the way your show is going and the way you, all the weight loss. I've seen the picture you sent me. I could not even recognize you. I mean, it's amazing. And now when I go out, everywhere I go, I see people, which is sad, and I'm not making fun of them by any means. It's just the epidemic. It's because of the food that people are eating. So you got to be able to grow your own food. And if not, you got to know people like myself. If you don't like me, you don't like Independence Arc Ranch, you need to get to know local and direct to consumer farm to table businesses, or better off, be the one that has your own something, whether it's chickens that lay eggs, it's a little plant in the backyard and you're working on getting land. People need to do something.
Well,
It is just,
well, and you segue something to me that I've been talking about with some of the doctors I've had on, because I don't know if you're following the whole, Casey County means they came out of nowhere. They're the ones that, the brother and sister. And Casey is the woman and her brother is Callie. And Callie was a lobbyist. Casey didn't finish her residency program, so she's not officially a doctor, but they were on Tucker talking about, the food supply is poison. And then there was a whole thing focusing on Kellogg's cereal. And then they were attacking Skittles with the dyes. Yes. Do you see all, you know what I'm talking about?
Yep. Yeah. And, yes. Well, yeah.
And so where I come into all this, my opinion on it, and I saw people I grew up with in Northeast Ohio, they're like, yeah, Kellogg's, yeah. We gotta, you gotta ban Kellogg's. And I'm just like, do you really need somebody to tell you that cornflakes are bad for you? Like, I know that. I like cereal because it tastes good, and these chemists are undefeated. There's a reason why food chemists come up with this stuff. They get you addicted. I love cereal as a kid. I probably still would eat a box of Raisin Bran if it was in front of me. Love it. So, but it gets back to the whole thing of people, there's no accountability anymore for anything. Everybody wants...
zero.
Like a month ago, nobody trusted the government, but now... everybody wants the government to come in and fix everything and just be your dad and tell you what to do.
Yeah, and in 2 years, all of that will be fixed. We're going to drain the swamp. I get all that. That's why I know none of that is going to. We're going to drain the swamp in 2 years. I'm like, okay, well, you know what? I'm going to buy more land. I'm going to try to find a way to buy more cows, and that's what I'm doing. I'm going to try to find ways to buy more physical gold, silver, platinum, ammo. That's what I like. But they can do whatever they want, and they can tell me whatever. I'm watching what they do, not what they say. And I hope that a lot of people that are listening to this are looking at it the same way. And don't get me wrong. Again, I just want to say the current administration, meaning Harris, Biden, I post this on X. I say this is administration from hell. I really, truly believe so. And again, I don't want to sound like doom and gloom because I'm not. And I hope that people got some solutions. And mine is, and it's not easy to do. You got to find not sexy places where people are not looking. Because if you remember during COVID, Independence Arc Ranch basically was founded in September of 2020. This is in the midst of when nobody was buying anything. We were supposed to be all dead due to the deadly pandemic. And I said, you know what? This is the great opportunity to find cheap land and to get away from the madness and kind of start something, right? And I looked at the positive out of the negative. So I continue to do so. And I'm not getting caught up with the whole Trump train. I'm fine with it. I'd rather have, just to put a disclaimer out there, I'd rather have Trump in office than Harris. I can't even pronounce her first name with my accent. It would sound like who knows what. So I'd rather see Trump in office than her. Yes. But do I trust him? No, I don't. And people can ridicule me for it. They can say whatever. No, I don't. I'm just continuing to prepare.
I was looking up when you said if people want to fight, it just made me, because it's like the Avengers, and I think they're calling themselves that. And I'm like, yeah, there's no Thanos out there. Thanos is everywhere. So Thanos was the villain in those movies, and this is not a movie. It's not gonna. People, they've just become so dependent on the government for everything, even on the Republican side.
So let's create another leg of government. Let's have another Space Force and Space Force 2, Space Force 3. Let's have, Department of, what is it? How do you pronounce it? Dodge?
I think, is it French? Doge?
Doge?
No, I don't
Is
know. I don't know.
Doge coin?
Well,
I mean,
it's
Doge
department.
sounds really good to
It's
me.
Department of Government
It's a
Efficiency.
department. Efficiency. Also, they're going to be efficient. Okay, this
Yep.
time they're going to be efficient. Okay, well, how about this? If they're efficient, I'm good. If they're not efficient, I'm going to still be good.
Say that again. You cut out.
And I hope a
Say
lot of people are doing the same thing.
Say that
so
again.
They're not counting on them being efficient.
Say that again because you cut out about Doge. What?
I said if they're okay, if they're I said if they're efficient, great. If they're not efficient, which I know they're not going to be, I'm fine either way, unless we get nuked. Then nobody's good. Then what is good? What good is Bitcoin? What good is physical gold? What good is land if we're all going to get nuked, right? I don't live in that fear, but I do know that lights do go out, and I've seen it. And I don't want to depend on the middleman, and the middleman is internet to trying to kind of like tie this up into, I guess, how people can prepare. If you don't mind, I can go over that. Is the way I see things, the way the plan is. I'm not against Bitcoin by any means or crypto. I got in Bitcoin a while back, and I wish I just stayed in. So maybe I have like, I don't hate it. I just, I wish I just bought it like I did and just kept it and never touched it. That would have been the best play, right? But I would have used that to buy something else with it, like land, more cows, or physical gold, silver, platinum. I would have done that, ammo, whatever comes with Second Amendment. I don't want to use too many words. I know this is a rumble anyways, but I truly believe in, based on experience, living it through socialism, communism, civil war, hyperinflation. I lived through that as a teenager. I've seen what it means to have actual things that are physical in your possession. Whether or not people can say that was 25 years ago or second, third world, fourth world country, whatever, it is happening. We had no toilet paper in 2020 United States. We had toilet paper shortages. I was living in Florida during the shutdown, and we had no OJ, orange juice, in Florida. Are you kidding me? I mean, it wasn't like it was missing a lot, but it was like a couple of times I went to Publix. I think it was called Publix. Yeah, the store, the grocery store. And it was no orange juice. That's the time, when I was thinking orange juice. Yeah.
So
I was like, what?
Talk about where you think this is going then, based upon your experience, and how far down the line do you think this is from happening? I mean, do you think it's, well, here, go ahead, and then I'll ask another question.
I hate to be the one that picks the time frame, because nobody really knows. I believe that we are and have been in the midst of it, because we've already seen, like I was just mentioning, certain periods of shortages of toilet paper, orange juice, even though it was like a week, 2 days. But this is United States of America. We are not living in, whatever, Zimbabwe or something. And I'm not knocking on them by any means here. I'm just pointing out the obvious. United States is obviously way better positioned than a country like Zimbabwe. And you would not think that we're going to run out of toilet paper. And we did. So if we can run out of toilet paper, what makes you think that we cannot run out of, what about banking system? What about everything that's been going on? This is why I'm just trying to tell people, if you have an ounce of gold, an actual physical gold, and I understand this is not, my son is trying to get in through here. This is not something like, a lot of people, especially from United States, are willing to even comprehend. If you have that ounce of gold, you can go to a pawn shop and you can ask. You should not show them your coin. You should say, if you needed actual cash. I'm saying if you needed actual cash. You have to leave. I'm in the middle of interview. Now, go. Hopefully you can cut that out.
No, it's fine. Leave it. It's okay. It's fine. Go ahead. So
If you get,
you're at the pawn shop.
okay, good. Yeah. It's the kids are playing outside.
No, you're good. You're good.
So
You're good.
yeah, if people need to know this, yeah, if you are in a crunch and you needed to get that cash, you can go to, a lot of people don't know this. You can go to the pawn shop and say, I have an ounce of gold. I'd like to see what you guys will give it to me. They will ask you two questions. Number one, what do you want for it? The only word you want to use is spot, meaning whatever the current spot is. You're probably not going to get that, but that's your negotiating point. You say spot. And they say what kind of coin you have. You have to know what you have, because if they see that you don't know what you're talking about, they're going to take you to the cleaners. Let's say, for instance, I have 1983 Krugerrand, and I'm looking to get a spot. Spot is 2763. They tell you, I'll give you 2400. You say, no, I'm looking at spot. They said they're going to come up with a story. It's just always a sob story. We can't because of this and that. And you might have a number of 2650 that you're willing to exchange it for. And then if you don't get it for that price, you can go to a different pawn shop. But that's how quickly it can be done. Now, for instance, if you had 24 karat jewelry, like for instance, 24 karat gold, it actually exists. Not many people have seen it. It exists. 24 karat, which means it's called spot. Why? If it's 10 grams ring, 10 grams of gold is X amount of money. You just look it up. What is the current 10 grams of gold? What is the spot? You want to be close to that spot. Obviously, you will never recover for what you paid for them making that jewelry. That's why I would suggest for people to buy bullion more. But that's what you need to know. And if you want to return it back to the, let's say, Monet that sells 24 karat platinum and gold, if you want to return your jewelry, and let's say it costs you $1,000, right, for this particular ring, and it was X amount of grams, you had to pay premium for them to pay that, and it's usually 30%. So you should not be buying that unless you are comfortable paying 30%, because it takes time and effort to make that gold into a beautiful piece of jewelry, if that makes sense. So you're paying premium of 30%. But if you want to return it to them, they will not give you that 30% premium. They're just looking at spot, and they will try to give you a little bit less than spot, like between 4 to 10% of the spot. And this is what people need to know. But gold is very liquid. You just need to know how to buy, in my opinion, when the prices are lower. And you need to understand that it is money. Because right now, I can hang up the phone with you, go down the street, and probably get 26 or 26.50 for an ounce of gold. And the spot is about 27, I believe 40 right now as we speak. And that's real money. And this is all over the world, not in the United States. Now people can say with Bitcoin, I can send you right now. Yes, that's all true. But the problem is the middleman. If me and you want to make a deal, you wanted to get 200 pounds of beef, and you wanted an ounce of gold, me and you can make a deal at the gas station, which I've done, by the way, before many times. Nobody knows about this. If I mention it, who cares? That coin is gone. I spent the cash. It is vanished. That nothing can be more decentralized than that. I met the guy at the gas station. He parked in front of me. I've never seen his license plates. He drove F-150. How many Ford F-150s you think are in Arkansas? Probably every single person, every other person has one, right? So I don't know who this guy is. He gave me 2 cows. 3 cows, I forget. I gave him a gold coin. That coin is gone. And this is why the Bitcoin crew is going to come in and they're going to say this and that. There is no middleman. We did not need anybody in between. I did not need internet. I did not need anything. I could have walked to that gas station. It's actually right down my house. Maybe they got cameras there, and they can. That's the only way they can find out who this person was. He doesn't know me. I never told him my last name. I told him Mark. I didn't even say Marko. And that's the importance of what people need to have, in my opinion.
So I was telling the story. When I used to work at a bank, there was a guy who would come in, and he was self-employed. I don't remember exactly what he did for a living. He volunteered. He would take labs and golden retrievers. At that time, working animals, like legitimate ones. Now you see these Chihuahuas and poodles that are all working dogs, but he would train them for a year and a half and then drive them back and get another puppy and just keep training them. But anyway, he would take he would go to a Wells Fargo and he would get like $1,000 or a couple $1,000 worth of coins, quarters, for the silver, and then the wheat pennies. And he had a machine that would separate all the wheat pennies. And then quarters, he'd have to look for silver. He would have to do that manually by hand. And then he'd bring the remaining change into our bank because we had a coin machine that didn't charge. And he'd convert that back to cash and then go back to Wells Fargo and keep buying change over and over and over again to get all these wheat pennies and all these silver in the quarters. And I look back at that and I'm like, God, that guy was smart, because I don't know how much he accumulated, but wheat pennies today, they're worth 4 cents, 4 times what a regular penny's worth. And so he's had to, I couldn't even imagine what he's got accumulated by now. But to me, and we're talking worst case with the grid down, but how are these things ever going to go bad, right? They're not going to expire. Gold's not going to expire. Silver's not going to expire.
Exactly. And then we recently, obviously I had to cancel one of mine because of the kids and all that. And then you had an internet issue. It was an all-day outage. They had
just on Friday.
Come over.
Friday it was out.
Yeah.
It was out from 1 o'clock until 6:30 at night. And the only reason why I had my TV on and the box kept going out, and I thought, the box must have just died. And then so I go into my office and I'm like screwing on my computer and none of the sites are working. And then I finally got a notification. Cox said the internet was down, and it was a good 5 or 6 hours.
Listen. It's a big deal, but at the same time, it's not the end of the world, right? I'm looking at it. I remember when I was in 2020, we were trying to get rid of this house in Vegas when we were moving to Florida in the middle of the so-called pandemic. And there was an issue with internet. It was an all-day thing, nothing major, but I was in the middle of a transaction where the wire transfer was happening. I'll never forget that. We were supposed to close the deal to make a move. It was kind of like one of those situations. You just want to get this done and get out of there, because we've been trying to sell it for a while and it was no biters. And all of a sudden we had an internet issue. There are times when you really need to make that transaction and you have to be able to make it. And if it turns into a week instead of a day, which could easily happen, it's a problem. So that's why, again, I believe that personally, people should own crypto and gold and silver. And how to go by with when to sell, when to exchange it, what to do, that's a whole different show that we can go on, that I have my plan. And everybody's got, it depends of the age, it depends of their retirement, non-retirement, what's their savings overall, how many kids they have, when did they get into Bitcoin, when did they get into gold. There's so many variations here that there is no answer that one fits all for this. So I'd rather not go into it and waste time on it, but I believe there is a place for both of them. And I just feel like I missed a Bitcoin train. Sorry, I just want to finish on this one because there was this guy in Las Vegas, right? He's like a local legend, okay? And I knew him from playing poker and all that. So we met for some beer in one of the local hangouts. And he says, listen, man, I got a couple of these Bitcoins if you want. And I'm making fun of myself on this one. And he said, I can sell you for $250. I said, well, what are you selling? I mean, I know a lot of people are already puking or laughing or both at the same time. $250. And he knew I'm a guy of action. I like to invest and make moves and all that. And I was like, well, His name is Kyle. Kyle, what do you mean? Like, what, well, it's a barcode. But you can kind of see back in the day, $250 Bitcoin. I said, what am I going to do with it? He says, this is going to be a big thing, man. You got to believe me. I said, Kyle, you need to get into, I know he needs to get into the World Series of Poker. He needs an entry fee of $1,000. So he wants me to give him $1,000 for some 4 barcodes. But I did think about it. I almost did it because the way he laid it out, it made sense, but it didn't make sense 100%. So a couple of years later, I got into Ethereum when it was about $200. I got into Bitcoin when it was 6,000, which was obviously way later than 250, but now compared to now, and I thought, like I told you before you hit record, I thought I figured it out because I was trading between the 5 and 10,000 and making profits and thinking I got it figured out. Instead of just holding it, it would have just been fine. That's why it's just, for me, it's easier when you have something physical like an ounce of gold. You really don't feel like going to exchange it and deal with those vultures at the pawn shop because they will take it to the cleaners. If you don't know those 2 words, like I'm telling you, don't show them the coin right away and just say, what do you guys got? I'm looking at exchanging an ounce of gold for some cash. Well, what is the magic words, right? What do you want for it? That's what they'll ask you. And you say spot. What do you got? You better know what kind of coin you have, because if you don't, they will negotiate the hell out of you. Once they see you, you know you're going to get close to the spot. And this works anywhere in the world, anywhere you go. So like I said, I just hope that people get something out of this instead of just typical doom and gloom and we're pointing things out that people already know. It's just the real world. You know, people out here are willing to exchange hay for silver or chicken for pork or pork for beef or gold for pork. This is what's happening in the country.
How bad do you think this is going the Bill Holter route? I got to get him back on, man. I love that guy. Bill Holter.
I told you.
You're the one that I didn't know about him. You're the one that tipped me off on him.
I did because he's the only one that called this sentence. Okay, I don't know Bill Holter, just to make sure people know that.
Yeah, that's fine.
It's not like I hang out with him.
No,
he doesn't even know who I am. He's the only one that laid out this whole scenario. The inflation in the area that we need, which is basic everyday necessities, right? And deflation of the areas that you own, which is real estate, which hasn't happened yet, and stocks and bonds and all that, which slowly started to deflate with real estate a little bit, but we are still in the hyper bubble everywhere. So he called it the inflation in the areas that you need at the same time as the deflation in the areas that you own. And I was like, you know what? This is such a phenomenon that we're in with what's going on that I believe that's actually going to take place. So instead of owning just real estate like a home with a little square in the back where you can possibly throw in your grill, I wanted to put in my money into land and then work on my home and slowly rebuild it, remodel it. If I, slowly, like we did with our house that was built in mid-90s, and go from there. And understanding the inflation in the areas you need, like I mentioned, my trip to Tractor Supply, my propane tank fill up, $250, $300 versus like $125 when I first moved here. These are the little things that are big when they all add up and you look at it every single day. So yeah, Bill Holter, what he said, I believe we are going to see that. I don't know when, but it's going to happen. And I do believe we're going to have a social unrest. To go back to what I said earlier, it's when the government subsidy either stops, which I don't think is going to happen, or people will realize that whatever they're getting is not enough to be at that comfort zone that they are right now. Because Americans, for the most part, if not a vast majority, actually, like 99.999%, have not seen any crises yet. Most people that listen to this video might have lived through not hyperinflation, but high inflation of late 70s in the United States. through any kind of civil war, any of that, right? World War I, World War II, most of those people, unfortunately, have already died off. We haven't seen, a lot of people haven't seen any crisis. We've had the financial crisis of 2008, right? Was the last one. GFC, Great Financial Crisis we had in 2008. I remember at the time I was, I believe, in my 30s. I noticed in the business I was in, there was a drop off, but nothing major. I didn't own any real estate. I didn't lose any money at the time, but I know some people that did. But that was probably, I don't know, 50% of the people, if not 70, that listen to your show today may not even know about great financial crisis, or it never really impacted them. Or some guys that do listen to your show that are in their 50s and 60s and 70s, they were smart enough to know what was going to happen, and they already shielded themselves with diversification, with whatever assets they were in, oil, gold, whatever, cash that they were in. So just a lot of unfortunately spoiled people that are not ready to what is coming because of all the subsidies and participation trophies. I know you've heard this one before, and I really believe this is the biggest metaphor or comparison we can use. Since we started using participation trophy to make you feel better, instead of saying, you know what, you lost. And it's not that big of a deal, okay? It's nothing wrong with failure. You just got to get up and get going again, instead of constantly saying, it's okay, I don't want to hurt your feelings, we need to toughen up, is my point.
Do you think it's going the route that Bill describes it though? I mean, do you think it's going to break down to that degree? Because I'm kind of in the belief of Kunstler's approach, or not approach, but what he says about a slow burn. Because you just see every year it just gets worse and worse and worse, right? Like 5 years ago to today, it's night and day difference. Now, maybe Trump administration, maybe that could slow it down a little bit, but you can't stop this at this point. It's way past beyond that.
No, and I'll break it down to you in a way that then we can kind of finish on this part.
So do you think it's slow burn?
I think it will make sense.
Do you think it's a slow? I don't know, Marko. Do you think it's a slow burn, or do you think it's going to be?
No, this is the two ways, Mike. This is how this is going to play out, right? You've got the people like Bill Holter, Peter Schiffs of the world that are all about the dollar is going to crash, which is going to bring problems in United States, to put it simply, right? And then you got the milkshake theory, which is Brent Johnson, the Santiago Capital that a lot of people follow also on X. And I was trying to tell you to get him on your show, Brent Johnson. His theory is it's a little bit with George Gammon similar. George Gammon, in my opinion, kind of went off the rails a little bit, but that's besides the point. Brent Johnson is talking about that we're going to have a crash of everything because of the dollar going up, not because of the dollar going down, which is Bill Holter's and Peter Schiff's world, to keep it simple. So either way, we're screwed. And the longer they kick this can down the road, and I know you heard this expression, a lot of people heard that expression, the bigger the pain is going to be. There is no easy way out of this. It is, and I believe it's going to happen under Trump. And he's going to be, and I'd rather have him in charge than the other freak shows that are in charge right now when the actual shit hits the fan. That's my point.
Well, and yeah, and if the plane does crash, and I'd rather him be the pilot in this scenario. Like Bracken always talks about, and I still haven't watched this movie, Denzel Washington in Flight, which apparently he's the pilot, and the plane crashes, and he's got the most experience. I need to just watch that movie.
I got to see that movie again.
I never saw it. I've never seen it.
I've seen that. That was a great. Denzel is one of my favorites. Not to go into the movies right now, but that was Man on Fire. You've seen that one?
Oh yeah, it's a good one. I just rewatched. We talk movies for a second. You know what I just rewatched? And I said this to Matt Smith. I said it offline though. Unforgiven with Clint Eastwood? You ever see that?
Oh yeah, that's a already classic. Oh yeah, I many times.
When was the last time you
Yeah.
watched it? How long has it been since you've seen
Yeah,
it?
yeah, we can go.
How long has it been since you've watched it?
I'd say 15 years. 15 years at the top of my head.
You gotta crack that. You gotta put that on, man, and
10 years.
you gotta put that on and rewatch it because like I watched it recently again and I forgot how good of a movie that was. But anyway, it talking about that movie with Denzel and the pilot and whatnot. I mean, I'd rather Trump be the captain at this point, but he's only got 2 years because the midterms, the House and the Senate, he's not going to be able to deliver on what the promises that he said was going to happen. You can't do that in 2 years, if at all. So people are going to go right back to whatchamacallit, they're gonna just revert back to the Democrats. Don't you think?
Yeah, that's 2 years. Well, I mean, it's going to be a lot of talk. Yeah, and then where we go back to, like you said, midterms and things are going to change. That's why I'm not keeping too much hope about it. I'm just moving on with holding hard, tangible assets in my possession, control what you can, and don't worry about who is in office that much because it's not going to be that much different. But I'd rather have him in charge when the real problems happen and we haven't seen them yet. And they are coming. And I'm not saying they're imminent. I don't have a crystal ball. I cannot tell you when. I know everybody wants to hear that. I don't know. I'm just well prepared. And if there is going to be nukes, does it really matter? Right? Does it matter if you have, like I said earlier, stocks, land, Bitcoin, gold? No, it does not matter if the nukes hit. I don't live in that type of fear.
Yeah, I don't worry about that. Just like the whole solar flares. And I had Ben Davison on, and Ben's a good guy. But after we spoke, I thought about it. The whole magnetic pole shifting and solar flares. You know about all that, right?
Yes.
If that happens,
it's happening. That's it.
But if it does, take me with. I don't want to survive that. I mean, I don't want to be part of the 40% of the population that survives it, or whatever it is, 20%, 10%, 50%. I don't want to see what the world would look like after that. I'm not going to high mountains.
Yeah, we live. Yeah. Well, I told you, all I'm doing is, me and you spoke about that like last week without recording it. I said, I'm looking to buy more land. I want to have Wagyu cows. I'm closing a deal as we speak right now. It's almost done for over 100 acres of pasture land. I'm just trying to add more assets. I want to build legacy for my family. I hope a lot of people are doing the same thing. And I want to, I have such passion for this whole thing with beef. And I want to continue doing that and just prepare. And they can do whatever they're doing. I won't even pay attention much anymore what Trump is saying, what Elon is saying, unless I catch it on my timeline on Twitter, on whatever. That's about it. So, and I hope that people are doing the same thing. So whatever they can control, you got to control to sum that up. And if you don't have something real in your possession, doom and gloom, you can call it all you want. You do not want the middleman. You got to be able to say, hey, Mike, we met halfway. You had a kilo silver bar and I gave you 200 pounds of steaks, whatever the deal is. That's what I like. I'm doing that. This is not like post-apocalyptic, and doom and gloom, end of the world stuff that people. This is happening every day. I had a guy drive him all the way from Oklahoma with a gold coin, 75-year-old man, almost 80, and got a whole cow. We made a deal with gold, and I already got rid of that gold. Nobody knows where it is. I don't have it. I'm sorry. It's gone.
So do you talk about what you're doing in December for people and for the end of the year and here I'll let you talk about what's going on at the farm.
we don't celebrate Halloween, none of that stuff. So it's all about Christmas in our family. So we're giving away 50 pounds of beef, which is worth over $700. We will pay for shipping as well, and it will be live drawing. It will be random on the computer, select live. So it's no funny games that you give it to your buddy or something. Whoever signed up for it is going to be able to get it. So that's December 13th. It's going to be 50 pounds. It's going to be included from briskets to ribs to steaks to ground beef to whatever, right? All the cuts that we usually give when people order 50 pounds, they're going to be able to get that. Right now, we still have 5% off until the end of the month for the 50 pound bundles, and we pay for shipping for those. We just don't pay for shipping when it comes to special orders because it takes time to go through all that meat to find out. People sometimes bail out. They say they want it, but it takes hours to go through it. They want like one hanger steak and 3 picanhas and this and that. So we don't pay for shipping if it's special order. But all these bundles, which are the biggest sellers from the sampler pack, 20 pounds to all of those, they're always going out. So December 13th, we got that free giveaway for 50 pounds, and it will be live on X. Independence Arc is my Twitter handle. And we're looking at Wagyu beef starting 2025. I've got connections with some really big players, and I cannot wait. I'm getting actually on Monday, tomorrow, I'm getting a sample from these cows. It's supposed to be A4 or A5, which is the highest grade of Wagyu steaks that are out there. So I'm looking forward to trying that and see if we can get into it. So the land is already set in place. We're just doing closing right now. It should be done within a month, I'm hoping. For land, it's a little bit more tricky. It takes a lot more time, especially for that much land. And so they're just big plans. I'm just kind of moving right along and letting the freak show do whatever they do and go from there.
How much has demand changed since you started the farm?
I mean, I think that whole COVID thing, man, that was huge. I think we got into it right at the right time. People just lost trust in big corporations. I mean, that's just every time. I mean, every month we get more and more people calling, emailing, asking questions about meat and are you guys injecting them with the vaccines and all that? And it's just people don't trust big stores anymore. I mean, there is a major wave. There is a shift happening, which is great. I believe it's great because I don't know what's going on out there. I mean, I felt totally unhealthy when I was eating store-bought food and fast food, of course, and all that. I just feel better. It's hard to describe unless you actually try the actual fresh meat that just comes off the butcher. Like you eat, you get a lot of our beef. You eat like a pound or two in one sitting. I do, and I feel like I didn't even eat, but I'm completely satisfied. It's like the weirdest, coolest feeling ever. Yeah, I mean, if you put a lot of sides, potatoes, and that's a different story.
Yeah, it's an adjustment when you go from pasture raised, store bought to grass fed, and it's one thing I would tell people, based on my own experience. One, figuring out how to cook it right, which I did not in the beginning. I don't think I even shared this with you. I was cooking your beef in a traditional oven, and it wasn't until I bought a cast iron, because I don't have a grill or anything. And when I got the cast iron, game changer. You have to cook that beef in a cast iron if you're going to cook it indoors.
I agree. But then again, I tried several times when I ran out of propane and I went back in the house and I got same thing, the same setup. And I thought, cast iron, I put it on. It was good, but it was not like the grill. As you saw me posting so many pictures, I put it on the grill. There is something about that high temperature on the grill when you put that grass-fed steak that really cooks through. And I hope soon you get a grill, man, or you come out here whenever you're on a road trip, and then we'll make some steaks. I just want you to try it off the grill versus off the, skillet, whatever.
You can't do it on a traditional oven. You cannot bake or broil grass-fed beef, in my opinion, in an oven. Like if you don't have a grill as an option, you have to have a cast iron to cook that.
Yeah, and an instant pot for like roasts and stuff.
Oh,
It's just a no-brainer.
that
It's
crock,
my
the
favorite.
sirloin. Hold on, so the sirloin that you
Yeah.
send me in the crock pot, friggin' the best, man. The best.
Was it top sirloin? There is different
I
types,
like it all, man.
and
I
I
like
don't
the
know.
bottom. I like the round. I like the top. I put all like whatever you send me. I put it in that crock pot, and the thing is about that stuff too about your beef. Very few things you can eat the next day. You can heat up. The chuck roast and the sirloin, that stuff gets better the next day. It's fantastic.
Yeah, I can. Well, yeah, I lead. That's why I like it in a crock pot, and I hope a lot of people do the same thing. Make a big chunk, and then you're good to go. You can just reheat it the next day. You know, my wife makes a lot of homemade food. Like we have homemade food all the time, like tortillas and all that. And then mostly I would just eat beef without anything, just beef. But if she makes the tortilla, I'll put it on.
I've been I've been doing a lot of confessionals on here lately, and like you and I met last year. I think our first episode was before the year ended, and yeah, I'd gotten away from the cookies and stuff, man. But I went back to Ohio a few weeks ago, the end of October, and I just ever since I got back, I was eating pumpkin bread and cookies, and I bought sourdough yesterday. I got back from my run, and I stopped at a farmer's market and bought some cinnamon raisin sourdough.
Yeah.
And yeah, with butter, because now I use butter
It's
for
easy.
everything.
Yeah. That's the Kerrygold butter is our go-to. We like feta cheese, crock cheese, Australian. It's one of my favorites. Zero sugar in it. Nobody can be perfect. Everybody on X is perfect. They're carnivore. They're only carnivore. They'll never tell you they had. Nobody's perfect, but man. I'll tell you what, the way I live, Mike, all I can tell you is I'm doing a lot better and I feel a lot better. But yeah, like I said, I don't want to take up any of your time.
Oh, that's fine, man. You're still having a cocktail too once in a while, right? You still have a drink.
Yeah, I just had one. I just had one earlier right in here. Yep. That's it. I like my scotch now, neat or good bourbon, but that's about it. I cut down on wine and all that. So just keeping it simple.
Where can people find you? Where can they buy stuff from you? Where can they?
I'm on Independence Arc Farm and Twitter, same handle, Independence Arc Farm, Independence Arc. I post a lot on Twitter, so people can see me there. My wife runs Instagram and Facebook, but we really don't do much on those two. It's social media. It's mostly on Twitter /X, whatever you want to call it. Independence Arc.
Do you have
with ARK?
Oh, sorry. Go ahead. I didn't mean to cut you off. Finish that.
No, that was it. Independence Arc. It's spelled Independence and then ARK.
Do you have the blue check? I'm thinking about getting the blue check for Twitter. You pay for any of that stuff?
I do for the company, but for my other first account that I ever created on Twitter, I don't.
Do you find the benefit of having it? Do you benefit? Do you find any benefits of having it?
I think for a business, actual business, I have to have it because a lot of people would look at Independence Arc and there is no check mark or nothing. It's not verified. They would think it's some kind of whatever. So I'm perfectly fine with that. But I have the New America 77 is one of my first accounts. I post a lot of crazy stuff on there, and I can care less if I have the blue check mark or how many followers I have there. But that's the one I'll probably most likely never get verified. I was already shut down on one of my accounts where to finish this whole story off with communism in the United States. What was his name?
Dorsey.
Jack Dorsey. Yeah, I had my account. I don't know how many thousands, 20,000 followers on Twitter back in the day. It was completely nuked because I got into it with one of the big names on there. There was a big, in the liberal world, and I was never able to get my account back. So I just went back on with the New America 7.7. I started doing that. And I just, when we started our business, Independence Arc, I said, you know what, I'm going to get a check mark, get verified. And there's that for that story. But yeah, that's where people can find me. And my wife answers all the emails. Our email is on our website, Independence Arc. I don't deal with emails. So if you get an email back, it's from my wife, Alicia. She takes care of all that. And all the crazy posts you see on Twitter is me.
Well, as always, thank you very much. I mean, it's no secret that, I eat your beef pretty much every day. I thank you for sponsoring what I'm doing. Your support, you and Alicia supporting what I'm doing. And, as always, I enjoy our conversations, and we'll see what happens. Maybe the Avengers will prove us wrong, and, it'll be all good.
Yes.
And Trump will get in and fix it, move some levers and fix everything. And, all this doom and gloom for nothing.
Let's go. 3D, Mike. 3D chess game. The cube is on. It's all fixed. It's all good. People are going to Gitmo as we speak right now. They got a plan.
People still
Sounds
believe
good,
it.
buddy.
People still believe
They
that,
do.
man. That's what's so funny about it. So thanks for coming back, man. Happy Thanksgiving, and we'll talk soon.
Yeah, you too.
Mic drop.
Take care.
Mic drop.
Bye-bye.